WrestleMania 34 returning to Louisiana, New Orleans for the first time, I think, since WrestleMania 30, so only 4 years ago. 4 years later, they're back in Louisiana for WrestleMania. So big news. I think this might be the first time in God knows how many years they've been back in the same city for WrestleMania in less than 5 years. It's pretty crazy. But WrestleMania 30 was pretty lit. It was a great show. So I'm looking forward to seeing them be back in New Orleans for this show as well just next year. So I know that's thinking way ahead. But Lucas, what were your thoughts on WrestleMania being brought back to New Orleans area in 2018?
This might not be a popular opinion that I'm holding right now, and I might throw in some negativity here, but I don't see it as a good move by WWE. If anything, I think it's a bit of a setback because of the fact that they were just recently there. I mean, hell, it wasn't even 5 years ago. You said it yourself. It was literally 4 years ago, and I know the success that surrounded that show that night, WrestleMania 30, the whole Daniel Bryan situation and, it being sold out and all that. But I don't know, man. I don't like it. I personally would have felt WWE was going to expand beyond, especially since they brag about how they grow as a global company and that they're a publicly owned business nowadays. And, so I thought they would be expanding beyond that. And I'm disappointed. I figured maybe London as a surprise or, maybe even California. California has a lot of venues, but no, they're going back to New Orleans. I don't see it as a good move, and especially you look at the logo, it's pretty similar to the first time when they went there, the same exact logo almost, the same colors. I don't know, man. To me, it's a setback. They have so many different options as far as not just this country is concerned, but also just the world in general. I mean, come on, you talk about global? Well, expand. Go beyond the country and find another venue out there. They recently, they just announced that they're doing a UK title tournament and whatnot. I figured there's some connection there. They're signing wrestlers from China. You figure, okay, maybe things are starting to head down the right path as far as a global company is concerned. But they hit us with the news that it's in New Orleans. I don't know, man. I don't like it.
Yeah, I got to agree with part of that as well. I mean, I do like New Orleans as a site. WrestleMania 30 was great. It should be a great arena. I know there's a lot of stuff going down over there in terms of tourist attractions, which they obviously look for. Like, I know I'm from the Connecticut area. That's where I am right now. They haven't held a WrestleMania here since 95, since WrestleMania 11, which was arguably one of the worst manias of all time. So I'm not surprised they haven't been back since. But part of the reason why they go to all these big cities like Texas, like you said, California, they were there for 31, New Orleans, and the last couple of years, especially, they go to big places where they have big stadiums, they can, promote all that tourist stuff and all that other shit. But no, I do got to agree, I do like the variety. I mean, part of me is biased, and were you just at TakeOver last year, or were you at SummerSlam too?
I was at NXT TakeOver only.
Okay, so they're going back there this year as well. They were there the year before that, so they're going there 3 years in a row, and that's part of the reason why they're going back so many years in a row, which is why they were in Los Angeles for God knows so many years, because of all that tourist stuff and whatever. But, I mean, you could do that anywhere, not just New Orleans. I got to agree that there were a lot of different, cities in the running. I know Minneapolis was a big one for a while, and they haven't been to Minneapolis in, I couldn't tell you, at least a long-ass time they haven't been there for, so that would have been a cool little site to go to. I don't know about in the springtime. I don't know if it would have been cool or not, or like freezing, whatever, but yeah, no, I do appreciate the variety, and you mentioned it right there. I'll ask you point blank right now, and I could not agree more. I think myself, as well as you and many other people, have been pulling for a WrestleMania in England for a long, long time. Ever since SummerSlam 92, they have yet to do one. They've done SummerSlam there. They're kind of getting better with that. I mean, they're starting to do more TVs there. Like you said, they're doing the UK tournament this upcoming weekend, which we'll talk about momentarily as well. So they are kind of going down that path, only to go back to New Orleans. So maybe not this year, maybe not next year, maybe not any point in the next 2-3 years. But Lucas, at any point in the near future, or any point ever really, do you see them hosting a WrestleMania in London? Do you think it would work out logistically?
I think it actually would work out, because I know the biggest issue was probably the time zone and having to find the right venue for that, because nowadays WWE likes to go all out with arenas and wanting to break records as far as our sellout crowd is concerned. So I know there's a lot of investment that involves that and having to do research and, just investigation and negotiation and all of that. But I think it can get done. You talk about England. I mean, come on, it's England. How many arenas, how many venues are there? I'm pretty sure they can find something to stack even more seats into any arena there.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the time zone is concerned, I really don't think that's an issue. I don't know. I'm not a firm believer of that. Like, they could seriously still put on a show at, let's say, 7 p.m. Eastern time here, advance to 5 hours over there. So that's what, midnight, basically? I think it can get done. I mean, for one night, why the hell not, you know? And then, like, even with this year, WrestleMania being in Florida again, in the Citrus Bowl, in the exact same arena where it was, what, almost 10 years ago now? 9 years ago that was? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so even with this year, I would view it as a disappointment. But no, I think you're definitely right. I do see a potential in London actually sooner than later, maybe within 5-6 years from now, I would say, given all the connection that they now have with the UK and whatnot. So, yeah, they're definitely getting there, and they've been doing takeovers, you know, in Toronto and all these other different parts of the world. So, yeah, why not, you know? But I just think that at this point, WWE is beyond just the United States. Like, they're long past that, and it's a shame that they have to refer to past venues. I don't understand that. I really don't. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but somebody eventually has to tell Vince McMahon, like, hey, you know, expand your horizons a bit, because to me, man, like, it kind of derails the company in a way, in a public matter, when the releases come out and the print comes out that WrestleMania is going to be at so-and-so, you know, because everyone's obviously going to be talking, they're going to be buzzing about where WrestleMania is going to be. So when you have Fox News putting this up, and you have TMZ putting this up, and you have all these different outlets online, as far as media is concerned, putting this up, you don't think they're going to critique the company because they're going back to the exact same venue? I mean, the NFL doesn't do that. You know, all these other big leagues or big corporations, whenever they're doing something like that, they don't go back to the same place. Or if they do, they don't do it so recently, you know? So for WWE to go back to the exact same venue 2 years in a row now, you know, in Florida this year, and then New Orleans next year, I don't see that as a brilliant strategy by WWE as far as public is concerned.
I mean, you said it earlier, too. I think one of the biggest issues that people viewed at for years as to why they won't do a WrestleMania there is because of the time zones. But really, if that's the only issue, and I'm sure there's other stuff in terms of travel and all that other stuff, but I mean, the fans will go wherever WrestleMania is. That's not really an issue. I think the biggest thing is that, in WWE's eyes, as you said, is the time zone thing. So whether you start it at 7 or 8, and it's midnight or 1 over there, they would stay up to watch the whole thing. The UK fans are crazy. They would stay up to watch WrestleMania. Or, if they wanted to start it at 3 o'clock, which I know what they're doing is what the tournament this coming weekend, and they did that with TakeOver about a year and a half ago, you could do it then, too. I mean, it's really not that big of a stretch to have WrestleMania start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, just because, for one thing, it's a Sunday, so it's not like people are doing anything anyway. It's not a football, there's no games on or anything, because it's football season's over, and just because, like, WrestleMania starts at 5 o'clock anyway with the whole kickoff show shit, it's like a 12-hour show regardless, and if it gets over at 8 or 9 as opposed to, like, this past year, it was what, a 6-7 hour show at the kickoff and a 4 to 5 hour WrestleMania. They went an hour overtime. It was ridiculous. And they got over at like midnight or something. So I'd much rather have it end at 8 or 9 o'clock than 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, I feel like if that's the only issue that's holding them back, I mean, not that it's not an excuse, but they could work around it. So we'll see. I think they will go there at some point. Maybe not obviously next year. They're back in New Orleans, but maybe for 35 or 36, and I think they are headed in that direction, as you said,